We're going to be doing the brakes caliper with bracket on 2018 Malibu. This side's done, so that shows that I know what I'm doing. And the car isn't moving, so the brakes are working. That's a joke. I got them from, not Amazon, I got them from AutoZone. There's the one I took off. That's just the grease I'm doing because I'm doing a little bit more on the car. The sway bar bushings in the back are just making a fit of noise. So I am going to fix them. What you'll need is a 11 millimeter. That's for the something under there. Another 11 millimeter wrench because that's the bleeder. An extension because they got the bottom bracket bolt in a very weird area. I used a hammer that's funky looking and a 15 millimeter ratchet. I don't know if you need that or not. I guess you'll have to stick around. Whatever size that is. A 14, you need that for the back caliper bolts, and a 15 ratchet. Okay, so gotta take the tire off first, of course, and that is a 3/4. Sweet, pop right off. Check that tire out. We're also going to be reusing our brakes, our brake pads. So, there. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen every bolt. That way it's easier once it's totally off. So that's an 11, most likely. We'll see. Yeah, that's an 11. I'm just going to crack it loose, put it back on. That way it's easier to take off once it's time. What do we got next? I'm gonna go ahead and break the bleeder. And the bleeder's a different size, so we're not gonna break that. Okay, so you need a 13 for this bolt because this line is too close. I think I used crescent wrench because I didn't have a 14. That's why. Most stuff's a 13. And it broke right loose. Just breaking that loose. And break the bottom one loose. It's right here. Of course, that one wants a socket. I'll show you guys in a little bit. Okay, everything's a little bit loose. Show you that bolt and that bolt right there. Now there's these bolts. One of them's right here, and one of them I can't even show you guys. It's actually the bottom bolt right here, and it goes clear through all this, and you need an extension that'll get you clear back here. Oh. And that is an 18 millimeter. 18 millimeter, and I actually got it off with 3/4 ratchet. I didn't need a half. The bigger, the more leverage you can put on it. Holy cow, that was on there good. Yeah, I hope the bottom one comes out good. Again, 18 millimeter on the bottom. But you gotta do this long sweep through with an extension. My extension's a foot long. Actually, I can show it to you guys on this side.
You guys see that in there? Right on there. I guess you could get it through this little hole, but you ain't gonna have much leverage. So I got 1 foot extension on there. Hopefully the camera don't fall. No, I'm actually gonna try it with no extension since the top was hard. Oh, and you can get it. Oh, good leverage too. A lot better leverage. So you don't need the extension. Because yours probably won't come off as easy as mine. Mine gets serviced about once a year, so they come off all the time. Oh, shit. Yeah, that was just fake hope. God. Yeah, I need the 1/2 inch. Okay. Don't tell anybody I did that, but hey, it worked. I used the jack. Let's work on me. I say that's a win. Little WD-40 and running it in and then back out did wonders. This is just the bottom bolt. It has copper anti-seize on it. I don't use copper, so I wonder where that came from. I don't think anybody else has done my brakes. I think that's the best home for you guys. If I put you on my head, I move too much. Still an 18mm on this. This is the top bolt for the whole bracket. I'm not removing the caliper first. Copper anti-seize. Still don't know where that came from. And then this should pry off. That's where you need a screwdriver to shove in there. You could push the pistons back in, but it takes a special tool on the rear. I got the other side off this way. I don't push the calipers back in because the oil kind of gets old and you need new oil every now and then anyways. Again, we're reusing the brakes, so we don't want to ruin them. There we go. Okay, now for the emergency brake cable. Actually, I'm going to remove the old brakes. See, my brake pads have plenty on them. At least the outsides do. That one's a bit weird, but we'll let that wear out. Their lifetime warranty doesn't really bug me. I'm going to leave the plates in there because the new caliper comes with the steel plates. Let's go ahead and get that emergency brake cable off. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll show you now. but there's this little clip right there. There's one on both sides. You got to push that in and it slides out that way, but you first got to get the ball out of here. And if you've ever messed with a bicycle, that's how you do it. The other side, I had to take this off to get the ball to come out and off to the side. But I think, yeah, you see that? I unloaded it and then did that. Now I just got to push both of them things in at the same time and slide it that way. And your emergency brake will slide right out. I use my emergency brake, so I want to keep it working. It does have dual emergency brakes on the rear, not just one side. And this car is not automatic emergency brake or electronic, so you still got the old cable, which probably makes this job a lot cheaper. Okay, I'm gonna need some pliers. There we go. Or there we don't. Make sure that boot's good too. The other side was actually dry rotted a little bit, but if it starts acting up, I need to replace the whole wire because I actually had a cut in it from rubbing on the ground somehow. Oh, cool. Got that side through. Pretty good clips. There we go. There we go. Pulled right through. Emergency brake cable. I'm gonna go get the other one, take that off, put it on it. Quick flip, quick swap. These are them brackets, steel brackets I was talking about. It comes with new ones. I'll just use new ones. Okay, I reuse the original pin that's in this one. These are GM. What they give you is aftermarket. They try to repair them for cheap to flip them for profit. This is the new one. Even the copper rings are on this one. I reuse. If it leaks, of course, I switch it out. That was an 11, wasn't it? 7. Okay. Don't worry about dripping too much because your whole caliper is full of air right now. Now for the brake bleeding process, you might as well look that up because it's so much easier with 2 people. You have them pump the brakes, they hold on the brakes, you break the bleeder. You go until it's just shooting out water, oil. I'm going to use a suction method, which I'm not even going to show you guys because it really doesn't work that well. Okay, we got that one out. Putting this one on that's full of air. Oh, I forgot to take the caliper bolts out. Okay, so we're gonna take I'm gonna get this out of the way so it don't drip all over the place. Heard that from a mile away. It's only done that a couple times, both sides. The ground is so hard, it hasn't rained in weeks. Hurts. Okay, we're gonna be taking off these 2 bolts because we got to put the bracket on separate because it doesn't let you put the brakes on with this all mounted together. Of course it's going to spin. This is a 14. I don't have 15 fit on there. Okay. Did this side backwards. While you guys are looking, we might as well put the emergency brake on. Slide that through the hole. I'm gonna go until it clips in. There, it clipped in. Good. It'll probably just fall right into place, won't it? Gosh, it's not that hard. I'm just trying to do it so you can see it on camera. Here, I'll just do it where you can't see it. There. Pops right in there. That pulls tension on it. It felt really good pulling in and out. I don't think we got any problems there. Where's the bracket? No. We really need that. So I should have done it before I put it on. Again, a 14mm wrench would make this a lot easier, but I don't have one. God. Oh, pliers, pliers, pliers. Just spinning that inside nut, but you guys can see that and catch on. I'm not greasing these or anything because I'm known to over greasing the pins. Plus they come with their own grease. The pins right here. Is it good? Jesus. No way. No way. Them are always finger tight. Okay. Put the bracket on. Of course, that's going to be in the way. Okay. So the bracket is them 18mm bolts. Should go in a lot easier than they came out, that's for sure. I'm gonna go put some grease on them. I don't have any anti-seize. I'll just regret that in a later video. Okay, greased them up. I use that waterproof grease you use in wheel bearings on boats. I don't know if that stuff's any good or what. The wheel bearing gets hot. So you can't tell me it's not rated for high temperature. And it's waterproof. Just lining this stuff up. Putting them two 18mm bolts back in. Again, we're reusing the brake pads. This is basically how you buy brakes now from a parts store. Brake calipers, they come with the bracket, which is really nice because I actually had two brackets wear out. The pin wore it bigger. There we go. 18mm I'm gonna snug them down. Don't think I gotta do that on camera, do I? You guys really want to see that? I'm sure there's a torque spec. I just tighten them down. That felt good. There we go. No more 18 millimeter. Oh, I forgot to do something on the other side. Hold on. Forgot to put the little cap back on the bleeder that won't ever break loose a second time. Okay, so we got ourselves the brakes. Right here and right here. I put some grease. That's also where these these metal shields go. Shields, whatever the heck they're called. And just go on there like that. They just push right in and your pads go in. I'm gonna go ahead and grease them up. The reason I grease them is because this is metal on metal. On metal. That's touching metal right there. And then the brake pads that go in there are also metal on the outside. What holds them on here. So you're metal on metal on metal. And what does metal on metal do? Makes noise. Brake pads look alright. I have to put them in like this. And then they just flip like that. Also, you see these little holes? Them aren't holes. I'll show you in a little bit. But I also grease this once I put them on because that's also metal on metal. But remember them two prongs. There's one on the back side. Okay, now I'm going to grease them two things right there. Two pads. That gets rid of a lot of your noise. Some people don't put grease on here. I do. You do not. When they say you're greasing the pads, it's the outside. You're not greasing the pad that touches the rotor. That would be just awful. And I actually knew a person that did that. Okay, so you remember that pins I was talking to you about? Pins? They're on the brake pad. This right here. You see that? The silver bit? See it has notches? You got to get one of them notches to line up with that pad. So as you put it on, that keeps it so when the piston goes out, it goes out straight and doesn't spin the whole way. And if you're pushing on the pin, one of them pins that's on the brake pads,
your brake pad is also not going to be pushing even pressure. So I like to put it on like this, screw these in. Actually, I'm going to have to, since it's a new caliper, I'm going to have to push the brakes on the car to get, what is that, a 14? Was it a 14? I have to push the brakes on the car to get that to push out, and then I can adjust it. I'll show you how to adjust it. Okay, if you're looking at it, it may have already aligned itself. Mine did not. See that gap that's right there? There is a big gap right there. I wish I had something I could stick through there. So what I do is I stick my wrench right here and I twist that up until it aligns, which is easier when you're laying down. You just keep spinning that. There we go. Now it's flush. Can you see it's flush? Kind of hard to see. And that will make it so that the pin that's on them brake pads that I showed you keeps that cylinder coming straight out instead of it twirling. Yep, it's right on the money. Got a spinning. This is what I was stopping from spinning earlier. It's a 14 millimeter, odd size, but that's what it is. Okay, we're going to tighten that 11 again. Next is the bleeding process of the brakes. I do it a totally different way. I guess I could show you guys what I do, but really it's not efficient. And then on my next brake job, my next oil change, when I do a tire rotation, I'll just have a second person help me out. I just don't have a second person right now. Just make sure you don't let that brake reservoir go dead or empty. Okay. Is that still flat in there? Yep, still flat up against there. And make sure it spins. That rotor has a little bit of gunk on it. I don't know how I warp rear rotors. It's got to be gunk. Yeah, it's gunk. Them pads will last me a couple months and I'll put brand new pads on it. You don't really use your rear brakes as much as you think. Use them every time you stop, but they're kind of like the last 10 seconds of your stopping. Okay, now I'm gonna bleed the brakes. You guys can stay tuned or just do it your way, because my way is messed up. And it could take me 20 minutes instead of 5. Should just ask a homeless person to help me out. Okay. That was actually under pressure, so if we look at this stupid pump thing, it kind of works, but it doesn't. You gotta crack it. And it it creates a vacuum which sucks out the air in the caliper, which it's working really good on this side. You pump it until liquid comes out. And then you shut it off before it completely sucks all the air out. And you pump it back up. How many PSI is it? Ain't PSI. I'm actually gonna do something a little bit different. I'm just gonna go pump the brakes. Let it shoot out a little bit. And nothing's shooting out this side. I may have a bad brake line. Let's just leave it like that, see what happens. Something came out that time, didn't it? Definitely. So what I meant by a bad brake line is these rubber hoses right here, right here, they can actually go internally wrong to where they're almost a check valve, where they let fluid go one way but not the other, which in turn keeps your brakes locked. Or they can make it so when you press the brakes, it feels like you have brakes, but really no fluid is going through. Fluid goes through, and then it goes backwards when you let off the brakes. Okay, now I'm gonna go pump it up again and put that sucker back on. Make sure that pin stayed in the right place. Yep. If your brake pedal don't feel good before you put your tires back on, bleed it some more. And make sure you got that all the way tight when you're done. I actually messed up one time and thought ones stripped out, but really they loosened. Okay. So when I went down the road, they were loose. I have no faith in these coming off ever again. Okay. See the little bit of liquid coming out? That's the best I can do with one person in that machine. There we go. Put the cap back on. Put the brakes. The brakes still spins. Yeah, I just need to drive it a little bit. Okay, that's it. Put your tires back on. Hey guys, didn't know if I've done a video on this or not, but I'm gonna make it real simple to take off your sway bar links. The bottom, mine are squeaking like crazy, so I took them all off, checked them out, they're all good. So I just greased them up, put them back on. It's a 15mm wrench. 2 wrenches will get that stuff right off, bottom and top. But also a bottle jack is nice to line this bottom bolt back up. This bolt that's down here, if it's not lining up, put a jack here and jack it up. Also use a screwdriver to poke that clear through. And that's about it. Hopefully that helps out somebody. 15 millimeter.